desirable level of competencies that is required by employers so that trainees can be trained on those standards at a particular level. So whatever we identified, we make sure that it is employer driven. The trainees, when they are trained on those standards, they can either be employed, or if they have a minimal resources, can work on their own. See, so the importance of the importance in meeting the standards requirement is, we will first of all make sure they are quality assured. It is initiated by people who are outside NTA, namely the employers are important, the sector bodies are important. Maybe you have an organization and you have some expertise, some consultants in the area, like building construction. We make sure all these industries in the Gambia who are doing building construction are represented, and so that at least we hear what the employers want, because at the end of the day, it is employers who pay, so they would pay based on what they want. See, so that at least we want our trainees to have that desired skills, so that at least they can be easily employed, and that is what is applied to all the standards we have developed. Presently, we are going very close to 500 standards that we have developed in about 23 qualification area. We have covered a lot of them. We cannot cover all at once, as Mr. Job said. We look at the priority areas. What are the priority areas in the Gambia? As he said, horticulture is one. If you look at it, it is evident that if you go all the villages in the country, they are involved in horticulture. Most of the women are involved in horticulture. So we need to see how best we can improve skills in that area. And I'm happy to report that we have developed level 1 and level 2 and level 3 in horticulture. In motor mechanics, building construction, rice cultivation, which is very, very great, and also fishing. We have seen that what presently, I think the country is having the impact. If you go to the market now, very limited amount of fish is available. Why? Because most of the people that are involved in fishing are foreign nationals, and they have gone to their countries for prey. They have not come back now. So the market, there is scarcity of fish there. So we are able to collaborate with fisheries department to be able to come up with standards in fishing areas. And then I'm happy to report that we have developed a qualification, and that 25 trainees were trained to be able to do fishing at level 1 in Tanje. So we had collaborated with fisheries, and the fisheries is also doing their level best to see how best that program can be better implemented in terms of providing the trainees with the necessary gadgets to go into sea and do the job, so that maybe in the next 2-3 years, as the training goes on, we wouldn't have the problem, we wouldn't experience the problem that we are having right now. So basically, that is the standard. The standards, we make sure employers' view is captured, and then training institutions that are doing the training are all captured. All the stakeholders who doing in an occupation are consulted to determine the standards.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kinde. This brings us to the implementation of standards in institutions for quality service delivery. Mr. Mane.
Before you go to Mr. Mane, I just want to emphasize 2 points that Mr. Kinde has touched on. The first point is the employers that leads the process of these skill standards, because they're the one that are employing the people at the end of the day. So all these panels that he talked about, usually it comprises of different elements. The first one is, for a panel to be formed, you must have a representation, as he said, from the employer of the specific occupational area you are developing. The second one is a sector body, meaning if there exists an association within that sector, they must be represented. Training institutions are also represented. The NTA is just there to facilitate the process. It is the employers themselves that actually tells you that this particular standard at this level, for example, if you use the motor mechanics as an example, when you look at level 1, what do you expect somebody that have studied motor mechanics to be at level 1? What is he supposed to know at level 1? Maybe they will tell you standard 1 is for the person to be able to identify the tools that you're going to use. Okay, so they are the one that determines all these elements, all these standards that are required for each of the occupational areas. NTAL is just there to facilitate the process to make sure that the standards is developed and is incorporated into our main qualification framework, which is the GSQ. So that's the point that I wanted to emphasize more.
Thank you very much for emphasizing on that point, Mr. Mane, implementation of standards in institutions.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Ba. As my colleagues already mentioned, when Mr. Kinte develops the standards, and then there is also another officer that is not with us here, that is the curriculum development specialist. Normally, he develops the curricula on all the standards that are developed. And then that one is done in consultation with, again, institutions and the curriculum development specialists that are existing maybe with the Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education, Gambia College, and so on and so forth. With their collaboration, we develop those curricula. And then they come to my office. Now, how do we implement? We do the implementation. In the first place, we try to encourage institutions to first comply with our R&A requirements, that is registration and accreditation requirements of the NTA. And after that one, any institution that wants to go into GSQ implementation, based on the areas that they have the expertise in, they have to tell us which areas they can do. Then they tell us who are the trainers, who are the teachers. Trainers are the ones we call teachers. You know, in the schools, they call them teachers, but in our sector, we call them trainers. So they identify the specific trainers for us. Then those trainers are the people that we have to first train them to become our assessors. Because for the assessment, we also have our assessment tools and standards and formats that we want these people to use. So we want that consistency in the application and in the process and so on and so forth. So as a result, we need to take them through so that the assessment that takes place in the Gambia, let's say in Banjul, and somebody that assesses in Fatoto or Basse, they all follow the same system so that we don't go and do things in our own ways. So as a result, we take them through our assessment tools and standards so that they all follow the same process, and from there, they have to be licensed. They have to go through the licensing process of the R&A after undergoing the training. Then after that, that's the time, you know, they can be contracted, because even that assessment process, even though you are a teacher in an institution, it's a contract between NTA and the assessor. We contract you to assess a group of candidates for us. Once you assess them, then you give us the results, and then they also are taken through the verification process. Now, the verifiers in some places, they will call them the moderators. So they will be moderated or verified, normally at an industrial level. The training is taking place at the institutional level. Now, they are assessed. The verification process, mostly we send them to the industry. Currently, like when you look at it, electrical installation, we have our verifier at Nawe. Anytime places like GTTI, once they train their candidates in electrical installation, they say, okay, now the assessment is done, they are competent. And now take the candidates and send them to Nawe, so that they practically reassess these people to confirm to me that these people are competent at this level. And then there we can comfortably issue them with GSQ certificates level 1. As they said, the implementation process also is taking gradual steps. We started with certain institutions like GTTI, Inside Training Center, Sheikh Mahfouz Institute of Technology, Chairman Electrical Training Center. We are also envisaging to include institutions like GTMI, Gambia Hotel School, and so on and so forth. And we are also going into the provinces. The implementation is not only limited to the formal training sector. Gambia Skills Qualification Framework has given us the opportunity to take care of those people in our